All right, in our Launchpad 7, we want to start with the uh, review of the sources of weather information, and then we'll go into the actual effects of um, weather on UAS. So this is, again, a review to prepare us for the the FAA written test. We have several different online sources for weather. We have www.aviationweather.com, which is the most, I find that the most useful, or we have www.1800WXBRIEF.com, which is another site. Those are the two official sites for getting weather. So if you see a question about that lists the Weather Channel or something like that, yes, that's a source of weather, but it's not the official source. We have a telephone source as well, which is 1-800-WXBRIEF, which is basically 1-800-992-7433. So any one of these places you can find weather. For the 1-800 weather brief, you'll also get, if you call them up on the telephone, you also can get information about NOTAMs, the restricted airspace, other activities that might be going on in your local area. So when you call 1-800-BRIEF, though, you need to tell them, just give them your name and what kind of airplane you're flying and where you're flying. They need to know that, okay? The FAA statement, by the way, for this portion of the test says that the test is intended to determine that the applicant is knowledgeable in sources of weather information and can demonstrate their understanding of internet weather briefings and sources of weather available for flight planning purposes. The applicant ought to be able, is demonstrating, by taking the test, demonstrates he understands what a METAR is and how to interpret the METAR, what a TAF is and how to interpret a terminal aerodrome forecast. The applicant needs to demonstrate their ability to understand weather charts. The applicant needs to understand automated surface observation systems, ASOS, and automated weather observing systems, AWOS. So that's what's being tested. That's the intent of the test if you have adequate knowledge in all of those departments. So we're going to do a review of those items now. Not extensive, because we've just got through with the 8-week course that's gone over this stuff, plus other modules that we've done in our course. All right, now, so we go into the surface weather observation, the METARs. We need to be able to, well, we need to know what they are. They're observations of current surface weather, and they're reported in a standard international format. METAR is a report, a weather report. Scheduled, normal scheduled reports, unless something significant has occurred. For example, in MDW, there's a special out because the weather's gotten worse for some reason. 1.5 miles rain showers. So they put out a special one. But normally they're somewhere near the end of the hour. For example, here's that 12 is the date. And then after that, there's a time, 18:45. So it's, 15 minutes before the top of the hour. But they come out at different times. But generally speaking, that's about the time they come out. METARs come from a variety of sources, but primarily from the 600 or 700 approximate number of automated weather stations throughout the whole country. So the weather forecasters use this, but we are really helpful for us because we can find out what the weather is at our local airport, or if we're going to be traveling at other airports. There's another special here in JFK for half mile and fog. Okay, so that's how you basically read it. Date, time, then we have this wind section here. This whole section here is the wind, okay? 110 at 12, gusting to 18 knots. The KT gives us a clue there. And we have visibilities, 15 miles, 30 miles, 6 statute miles, SM is statute mile, and then, of course, like lower visibilities, half statute miles. So if it's down to less than 3 miles, they're going to probably give you some kind of a clue about why. That's fog. FG is fog. This one here is, for MDW, is rain. All right? And then they tell you what the clouds are like. What can we expect for cloud layers? There are scattered clouds here, scattered clouds here, overcast here, overcast here at, and they usually give an altitude. This one doesn't have an altitude. That's okay, it's probably higher levels. This one has scattered at 15,000 feet. This is 700 feet. You put 2 zeros after them. This is 700 feet overcast. This is 500 feet overcast. And then we have temperature dew point. Temperature comes first usually in Celsius. Well, always in Celsius, obviously. It's an international coded report, so it's Celsius. Then the dew point. Take a note of this one here, 16, 17, and 16 dew point. Getting close to maybe being foggy or some kind of visible precipitation. And then finally we have the altimeter setting, and that is read this way, 3000 inches of mercury. That's atmospheric pressure. That's how you read them, and you should be aware of that. That shouldn't cause you any major heartburn, because we've talked about that before, and we will talk about it again. Hopefully, it'll be used often in your career. From the surface weather observations to TAFs. TAFs are terminal area forecast. And a similar international format, except of course we have time periods that are important, right? Because we give you a main body of the forecast, and then we have what they're expecting to happen in the future. But a TAF, let me read the statement here. A TAF is a report established for the 5 statute mile radius around a airport. TAF reports are usually given for larger airports. Each TAF is valid for somewhere between 24 and 30-hour time period, and it's updated 4 times a day. And you'll see it from. It'll be some kind of an update as well. The TAF utilizes the same descriptors and abbreviations as in the METAR, so it makes it a little bit easier to read. These weather reports are obviously important for us because we do want to know what's going to happen in the future. And they are, again, used from these automated weather stations and other places as well, along with the radar and satellite, and if you're near the ocean, some kind of maritime report, and often we'll be using airborne pilot reports as well, what they see out the window or are experiencing in their aircraft. All this information is put together, interpreted by a group of weather forecast experts, and transmitted back to the users in this coded TAF report kind of thing. These reports are also assembled into larger area forecast, which are called area forecast. But for an area forecast, it's FA. That stands for area forecast. And that's for multi-state areas. So there's one for Georgia, Alabama, Florida, South Carolina kind of forecast. But these are TAFs, T-A-F. Or area forecasts will be written about sort of the same way. So let's see, we'll do it real quick. We'll try to describe what we're looking at here. K, Memphis. Remember, K stands for the continental United States, an airport in the continental United States. If it's a C, it's Canada. Okay, M, Mexico, that kind of thing. Memphis is this particular thing. We have a date first and a time period. This is when it was issued. That's when they issued it. 1720, the forecasters sat down and said, okay, let's send this out. It's for a period of between 1200. It's between a period of, it's on the 12th, it's for the 12th, for a period of 1800 to the 13th at 2400. Okay, make sure you understand this. The 12th is the date, and then they give the time in a 2-digit number, 18, right? And then they have a slash. So that's 1800. They leave the zeros out because, well, ink is expensive, I guess. Then the next number is 18 I'm sorry, 13 right there at 2400. And that's time. This is time. This is date. So that's the time period this forecast is good for. I'm just saying, they don't put the month down because it doesn't matter, but let's say it's the 12th of November at 1800. This forecast starts then, the main body, and then ends on the next day, the 13th, at 2400, that which is midnight, right? Of course, it is Z time. Okay, does that make sense? I hope. So moving on from there, the next section is the wind. It says KT, which that's a big clue as to what's going on here. It is the wind. 12 knots, 200 degrees at 12 knots. Then we come to the visibility, 5 statute miles, and then the modifier, if there is, haze. HZ is haze. Then we have a cloud layer broken at 3000. Then they give us, oh, there's a probability, a 40% probability of that happening, of the next section, this section right here. That's what they're saying. Probability of 40% probability that that there'll be 1 mile, thunderstorms, rain, TH is thunderstorms, rain, overcast 800 at cumulonimbus, CB is cumulonimbus. And around that time period as well, during this main body. So how can I make sure you understand this? I'm not very good at driving straight lines, but that's the main body of the whole forecast. From the 12th at 1800 to the 13th at 2400, that's what we're expecting to have. However, they're saying that from on the 12th at 2200, after 2200, oh, it's 330 at 15, gusting to 40, more than 6 miles, statute miles, broken at 1500, overcast 2500. And during that period, probability, 40% probability of 3 miles in SHRA, rain showers. And then the next one is, oh, but after on the 12th at 2 o'clock or 0200, the wind's 350 at 12 knots, overcast 800 feet, and during that period there's a probability, 40% probability of 2 miles. RA, rain, SN, snow, rain and snow, becoming at the next time period 0208, broken at 1200. And then becoming, this is still part of that part, becoming wind calm, 3 mile visibility, mist, scattered, and temporarily, occasionally, they're saying a half mile in fog. And then later in the day, they're saying from the 13th at 1600, the wind will be variable, not much wind, more than 6 miles visibility, scattered clouds, and as you read this, once you get a little bit of experience reading these, you'll say, oh, it must have been a frontal passage. Something went past, like the cold front probably has passed, and the weather's clearing up behind the cold front. So there'll be specific questions about, tell me, after 2 o'clock on the 12th, what is the visibility? What's the visibility or something like that? We'll go through some practice ones here in a second. There'll be some specific questions about this on the test. So you need to be able to look and say, okay, there's 200, 0200, overcast, Rain and snow. Yeah, that's pretty significant. Or half mile in fog. That's pretty important. So the question will give you clues. Don't worry about that. So here's Oklahoma City down here on the 5th. They published this forecast on the, did I just cover that up? 5th at 11:30 Zulu during this time period between on the 5th from 1200 to the 6th at 1800, 1400, or I'm sorry, 140 degrees at 8 knots, 5 statute mile visibility, BR mist, broken 3000, tempo, mile and a half mist, etc., etc. Study this. Remember, of course, you still have the resource of the Remote Pilot Study Guide. FAA published it, and it will be a resource to help you as you need to practice these things. Okay, then we have convective SIGMETs is the other weather product that gets published when there's severe weather. Convective SIGMETs are important for all pilots, and they'll therefore publish for a general area of, well, bad weather basically. Right, just they're issued for severe thunderstorms with the surface wind greater than 50 knots, hail at the surface greater than or equal to a 3/4 inch diameter, or tornadoes. Also for lines of thunderstorms, lines with heavier or greater precipitation that affect 40% or more than 3,000 square miles of a particular region, right? Remote Pilot will find these, of course, very valuable in understanding. I don't need to read too much into it except to understand what it is, a convective SIGMET. They'll be named. This one's convective SIGMET 37 Charlie, valid until 1855 for Texas and coastal waters. And then it describes an area, 50 southwest of, okay, San Antonio is here, 50 to Brownsville is over here, Laredo is over here. So it's like a area, like in this kind of area, roughly speaking, and they're saying thunderstorms moving from 030, so they're moving from this direction, going that way. These thunderstorms are all in this area here, moving that way, tops at 43,000 feet, all right? And it also says some future outlooks as well about the weather and with other issues going on. But Storm Prediction Center, blah, blah, blah. So that's convective SIGMET. Not much more I can say about that except that convective SIGMETs are, the question will be something like, what weather condition does a convective SIGMET get published for, and its winds of greater than 50 knots, lines of thunderstorms, severe turbulence, winds greater than 50 knots. I already said that. That's the basic question for those kind of. All right, so now we come to some sample questions about the METAR here for interpreting a METAR. And so refer to figure 12. The wind direction velocity from KJFK is from, and then you have 3 choices. Pause the video, think about this, try to come up with the correct answer. But I can't wait forever. So we look for JFK there, and we look for the wind, 180 at 4 knots, and we end up looking at 2 of them that have basically the same thing at 4 knots. Now we've got to know the difference between true and magnetic. So like I've said before, the FAA test is not about memorizing a bunch of questions, about sort of understanding what's behind the question. But what we said before briefly, and here maybe this is new to you, but I believe we've talked about it before, but if the wind direction is spoken, in other words, over the radio, it's a magnetic heading. But if it's written down, it's based on true headings. Okay? Right? So it'd have to be A for true, since it's written down. The wind is 180 at 4 knots. We have another, hopefully that didn't go by too fast, but just think about that. If it's written down, it's on true headings. If it's spoken as if it was a weather report from a pilot of the tower, it'd be magnetic. That'd be the easiest way to remember that. Here's another one. Figure 15, what's the TAF for Memphis? What does SHRA mean? Okay, now, and you can pause if you want, look. But the thing is, if you look at your little cheat sheet, you may not, and you probably won't have that cheat sheet at during the test. They're not going to let you carry anything in there, like notes or something like that. You can carry a small calculator. They'll make you take the batteries out and put it back in, or some way to erase the memory. Because sometimes your brain gets fuzzy and you can't add or subtract or multiply very well. So you have a little calculator, but that's about it. No other question is going to be asking higher math, so you really don't need a complicated math. But anyway, everything else you can't take your telephone either, so you can't do the reference stuff. You can't check the internet for the answer B. So you really need to have this memorized. But it makes sense, though. In the TAF for Memphis, let's look up Memphis. Memphis is there. What does SHRA? So you find SHRA, blah, 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 blah. Oh, no, that's TSRA. Oh, here we go. From blah, 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 blah. It says SHRA. Okay, so what does that mean? What's going on here at Memphis? We have thunderstorms in the main body. Visibility 3 miles. Well, you can actually use your common sense here. RA sounds like rain. And SH, let's see, is there anything down here? Rain showers. Yeah, gee whiz. SH, rain showers. RA is rain. SH stands for Saturday. Sounds like rain showers. And you would be right if you guessed that number. Don't guess it. You should know that. Wind direction. I don't really see that as being a major thing. 330, wind does shift a little bit, but that's not what SHRA means. No way. Okay, so moving on. Refer to figure 15, forecast wind for Memphis from 1600 till the end of the forecast. What is the forecast wind for Memphis from 1600 till the end of the forecast? All right. So again, we're looking at Memphis. We're looking at from 1600. So now we got to find 1600. 1600. Oh, there's the 13th, and they're till the end of the forecast. So we're probably looking towards the end. So the 13th is 1600. Variable 6 knots. Visibility is more than 6 miles statute miles. Variable. Maybe variable at 6 knots. I think it might be variable at 6 knots. Makes sense, right? VRB, variable at 6 knots. Yeah, so it would be C. Again, you try to find out what the end of the forecast is. So here's another question here. Memphis question. According to the Memphis forecast, what's the earliest time on the 12th at which the visibility may be reduced below the 3 miles? Of course, 3 miles, we need that in order to fly our drones. So we look at Memphis, then we go start scanning it down there to find 3 miles, something less than 3 miles. So we go down here and it's 6.5 miles. Oh, that's cool. Haze, broken, blah, blah, blah. Probability 4% between on the 12th at 2000 and the 12th at 2200, 1 mile, overcast 800. So I would say, looks like at 2200 it may go less than 3 mile visibility, so I think it would be C. 20. Sure, that makes sense. That makes total sense to me. Next slide. What will a convective segment be issued for? Surface winds greater than 40 knots. Didn't we say 50 knots? Visibility less than 3 miles? No, we didn't talk about that. We did talk about squall line thunderstorms, so that would be A for squall line. Remember again, segments are issued for severe turbulence, severe icing, low level wind shear, severe thunderstorms with winds greater than 50 knots, or hail bigger than 3/4 of an inch in diameter, or tornadoes, lines of thunderstorms, etc. So, no, that's an easy one, sort of. Back to METARs, figure 12. Refer to figure 12. That's this one right here. Make sure you get the right figure. Remarks for MDW has RAB35 listed. Well, we don't even need to look at the forecast. What does RAB35 mean? We have mentioned it before. RA stands for rain. B stands for begin or begain. 35 past the hour. So rain began 1835. That's an easy one. Remember, of course, always recheck your questions. Make sure you read it right, because it might have said the remark section where it says this entry does not mean. They could do that to you. That'd be pretty mean, wouldn't it? But they could. All right, the statement, a general statement about concerning AWOS and ASOS weather reporting systems. You know, they are a part of a nationwide network of weather reporting stations. That's true. C, both ASOS and AWOS have the capacity of reporting density altitude as long as it exceeds the airport elevation by more than, it's got to be B. That's the primary purpose of the ASOS, is to perform weather observing functions necessary to generate those METAR reports we get. Some general questions will be asked. To get a complete weather overview for the planned flight, the Remote Pilot Command should obtain a standard briefing. Right? Outlet briefing is the day before. Just, hey, I wonder what it's going to be like tomorrow. That's that kind of report. An abbreviated briefing is, I'm here in the field with my drone in my hand, about to launch. Maybe I'll check at the last minute. I'll call them up and ask them, or I'll look on my little cell phone internet connection. I'll find out and get an abbreviated briefing. This really question is more related to the phone call kind of thing. But yeah, so standard briefing is almost always the answer to this question. And that's about it that I have here for the weather information services. Remember, of course, again, to review the study guide and your previous material that we've talked about in the past. But I am available. You've got my office hours. You've got my number. You can contact me, email, text, and yeah, call me. Not after 10 at night or not before 6 in the morning, local time. Give me a call. You're welcome, and I'll try to answer as many questions as I can and help you get through this thing. And after this video, there's 2 more videos that you need to watch before you take our little quiz. That little quiz is designed to help me to evaluate you. I mean, that's the basis of why you're going to graduate and get the technical certificate if you can pass them. But it's also, even more importantly, it's to help you prepare yourself for the actual written exam. And you can build yourself some confidence. If you start making good grades on these little quizzes that I've been given, that should give you a lot of confidence, so that when you go up to take your test, you can be pretty sure that you're going to see something familiar. Not the exact questions. They're going to vary, and they change from time to time. And they'll add questions and subtract. But this is the clue here. This is what we're trying to work at. All right, thank you.